Masters of the Universe Revelation, in one word, was just bad. I want to call it dumb, but it was just bad. I understand what they were trying to do, but it was an utter, complete mess. I didn't get it after episode one why they chose to go that route, as opposed to, I'm not opposed to He-Man and Skeletor dying, but ultimately, spoiler alert before I continue. So I should have probably said that before I spoiled it, saying that they both die, but it was a cheap death because later on in the last episode they come back, and then He-Man gets killed again in that last episode, which was even more disturbing and upsetting. Now, I get that this story is not centered about or from her He-Man's perspective, not centered around him as far as the story. And even the way it goes about it, He-Man takes a side role or a secondary role, probably even a tertiary role in his own universe, even though he is the hero. I don't want to go too much into identity politics or it's hard not to with this animation. And from the first episode it started off really promising. And so basically I even have my notes. I put episode 1 good, episode 2 okay, episode 3 bad, episode 3 bad, episode 5 dumb. That is literally my breakdown for each one of the episodes. It basically, after episode 1, it's centered on He-Man's and Skeletor's basically, girlfriends or love interest, if you will, and they again are the heroes. So it's basically that they took those two characters out and gave us female versions of He-Man and Skeletor. And given the fact that we had such a star-studded cast, maybe that was the reason, that they went this. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what was going on with the script writing and why they chose to go this route. I mean, I'm not opposed to having He-Man die and Skeletor die, but even in that aspect, they cheapened it by having them come back at the end. And then they even slap us again in the face with He-Man dying again. Which, why not just keep him dead? Why not just let Elena wield the sword, which was the intention of this show anyways? But why not just go full on? Like, why, thread that line, knowing that everyone that saw these cartoons and bought the toys, I mean, I bought the toys, and it was dope to see these characters again, and it brought me back to my childhood and all these little action figures that I used to collect. But like Batman and Robin, the TV series back in the 60s or 70s, whenever it came out, probably more in the 80s too, we tuned in because it was all the stories were self-contained. And so was He-Man, so was G.I. Joe, so was the Ninja Turtles. It was, you tuned in for 20-25 minutes. It was going to be about Skeletor and his evil plan and how He-Man had to foil those plans. And that just became the recipe for success. Again, was it a shocker to see He-Man die? Yes. Was it a great sacrifice that he did? Yes, of course. He saved the universe. But then to go and have that whole weird thing and where Elena gets mad at everyone because she lied, and the way she turns her back on everyone, and then goes into this bounty hunter and cuts her hair in a weird, like, our universe style. Not she's the only one that looks different in that universe, and like it's hard not to place identity politics into that kind of animation. And then she has a love interest that seems like she is a bisexual because she likes He-Man, and she also has her sidekick that we all get introduced. I think her name was Andra. Again, it was just a cluster f of a storyline, and every episode was written by so many people. And I get that's the trend now, to have different writers write different episodes, or different directors direct different episodes, but it's just so incoherent. Did the other directors not pay attention to the other story or the overarching storyline? Like it left you empty. It left you wanting more. It was it was kind of boring. I found myself in episode at the end of episode 2, episode 3, episode 4. I found myself like getting really bored and uninterested. The pacing was horrible. I've already bashed a lot. I think the last 5 minutes have been on the writing and how incoherent it was. The cheap way they were killing off everyone that made us tune in. Like, I don't know what Kevin Smith was thinking. Like, oh, I'm gonna shock everyone, and I'm gonna just kill all their favorite characters. That just pisses us off. That's not being all unique. That's not taking risks. That's not giving an F about your fan base, about what made us tune in. You're just taking it among yourself to be like, well, I'm gonna do this for the shock value, and not understanding what that shock value does to the fan base. There's a good way to do it, and like I said earlier, I would have preferred, as far as the He-Man part of it, just keep them dead. Don't even involve them in the whole Valhalla thing and in heaven. Just have Elena be the one that wields the sword. That was the intent. That was the direction of this series. And at least go down with that, and not try to play both sides of the fence, because it just gives it like you knew that people were going to get pissed off, but you actually wanted to tell this whole other story, which could have been compelling, but you didn't push all in. You wanted to hedge your bet and still use little flashbacks where He-Man and Elena were fighting side by side, just to keep us entertained. And I honestly, when in those flashbacks, what happened in episode 2 and 3, I think, I actually like those parts where you have He-Man. Why? Because that's what we tuned in back in the days. And again, I am not opposed to having side stories, to having something dramatic happen, spin-offs. You could have had a whole different spin-off with that same episode 1, but lean into what you were trying to do. It just seems cheap to me. And the way they were just starting to kill people, I was like, oh, come on. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So if there is going to be a part 2, I hope they rectify that, and these were just temporary deaths, because I have no interest in watching episode 2 or part 2, not episode 2, excuse me, but part 2, if this is the kind of thing that we're going to continue to do. Freaking Roboto, I don't remember Roboto, so from the TV series, but if he's an original character, put that down in the comments. I don't remember, but he just reminded me of a cheap version of Iron Man, especially with that whatever arc reactor that he had in the middle of his heart. I was like, well, that was dumb. And I was like, oh, you had the memories of, and it just, I don't know. It was just dumb. And I don't, Mark Hamill couldn't have been the original Skeletor. And though I love Mark Hamill's voice acting, all I heard was Joker. The Joker was the only thing I heard. Every time Skeletor laughed, spoke, it was like, wow, that's the Joker in spirit with a Skeletor mask on or outfit on. And I get you wanted to have that name recognition, but Mark Hamill for that role was just bad casting, because at least for me, all I heard was the Joker. And did you guys just hear the Joker? Because he's made that voice so iconic. He's played the Joker so many times, and it was too similar. Even though it was a little bit raspy, and that's what he made it, they should have just auto-tuned it, or in post-production changed it, lowered the tone, lower him in bass or something, or higher him in bass, something different. It was just, again, I love Mark Hamill, and in his voice acting, I love him in everything he does, but this for me, I just thought was bad. And sticking with Skeletor's final form was fucking horrible. Are you kidding me? That's what you guys came up with. That's the freaking, you know what? Yeah, that's the way we're gonna end it, and that's the way he's gonna be the master of the universe, and that's his final form. I mean, you could have taken that so many. I hated the floating head thing. It was just, I don't understand it. I don't understand why you guys had over a year to decide what this animation was gonna be for just those few minutes, and that's what you chose to go with. Now, if you do have a part two, you're gonna have to have that stupid that dumb animation with his head floating around, and what, whatever. I mean, it was just dumb. There was a little mini Game of Thrones reunion. You had Xerxes playing Evil Lyn, and you had I can't remember his name now. It's escaping me. God damn it! But he was playing Man at Arms, and God damn it, it's escaping me. But anyways, those two were part of the Game of Thrones. So when you hear their voice, you're like, oh shit, that was pretty dope. But they didn't fit. A lot of the voice actors, like I said, it was a big cast, but a lot of these voice acting choices for them to act, it didn't match the animation that we were seeing on screen, and some of the acting of the voices, again, what didn't have enough attitude, enough spirit, enough to give it life, I guess. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all of them, as far as just, it's Xerxes, and it's the Game of Thrones, and it's Alicia Silverstone, it's Mark Hamill, and all that stuff. But that was just more for the nuance of the thing, and not really for saying, oh, it matches really good with the animation that's going on. And just to end on a positive note, I guess, the only thing I honestly liked is the animation. It was very similar to DC, or what's that one, the Son of Zeus animation style, and I enjoy that kind of animation. It felt like the original. It felt, at least in parts, obviously we're dealing with a new digital, but I enjoyed the artwork. I enjoyed the animation, and that's basically about it. So I hate to be this hard on something that I loved so much when I was growing up. And again, I'm not sitting here to go on identity politics, or what people think or what they don't think and anything. Like, I don't mind them going off on taking a left turn and taking a story different, but I would have just rather them lean into that and completely gone, instead of threading this middle ground to appease both sides of whatever they were trying to appease. And what we had was a cluster disaster, if you will, of incoherent thoughts, incoherent plot lines, and no real direction. And it was just, I wanted to say just dumb, but we're gonna call this just bad. So for me, this was just I want to give it a D minus, and that's probably what it deserves. I'm gonna give it a D rating for me. I wouldn't waste my time again watching this, and honestly, if there is a part two, I might watch it because I do reviews like I'm doing for this one, and I might watch it. But if I was just I wasn't doing reviews and I was just a normal person, I wouldn't give this, a part two a second chance, unfortunately. It's no diss on anybody that worked on it, and I'm sure you guys worked and your ass is off. I'm sure you guys put a lot of time and effort and love into this project, but ultimately the market dictates what it likes and what it doesn't like. and I can't see the public liking this. I can't see anyone liking this, even from a straight up storytelling perspective and just in an artistic art form. This was just incoherent, badly developed, and badly executed. So again, it's a D rating for me. But anyways, those are just my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. What did you think about this? Am I being too hard? Did I miss something, more deep, more epic that it was trying to prove? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And like always, that's a wrap.